What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. I think this will be a brief one. Talking a little shop and then getting into the topic. I wasn't joking in the last video. I think this form of living functions pretty well. As best a person can live in this environment. When your goal changes from a bunch of vague hopes you're pushed into by discomfort and pain and lies and fear, and these vague hopes, this buying into the theater, is supposed to make it feel better, and I guess for a while, for some people, it can, but eventually you realize nothing good for you will ever happen in the big picture, certainly not from your participation or attempt or belief that you're participating in the big picture. And all you can do each day is try not to be miserable. Serve your sentence as best you can. If you have some divine purpose, do what you're supposed to do on that front. But I've found with divine purpose, that's usually more something small you perform by yourself. You don't understand why you're doing it or to what end, but you know it's important, so you do it, even though you don't understand it and you don't benefit from it. But you do it because it's part of your divine purpose. You don't do it expecting a reward. You don't do it expecting to be saved. That's what part of no solution, no salvation is. Service because you were born to serve, not to be freed, not to understand, not to benefit. You serve because you were born to serve. And service is almost never this grand, ego-affirming, ego-inflating thing people seem to want it to be. And most of the time it feels totally pointless. You wonder why you're even doing it. The reason you're doing it is righteousness. But your purpose on that level is separate, or at least it feels separate, from the life you'll be living while you're serving. And that's what I've been thinking about recently. The lives we lead once we arrive here. Because nothing retards say you should feel happy about makes you happy. And in fact, these sorts of people, they shit on relentlessly the only things that make your day-to-day life feel even a little bit okay. The typical shit you hear, the noble struggle shit, the be a good person shit, the make a stand shit, all of that, those all feel like tricks the powerful use to fool the weak who feel or who need to feel like they're powerful or important in some way into embarrassing themselves and torturing themselves just to see how long they'll do it. It's like a measuring stick for self-delusion, or maybe even collective delusion. But it feels like a punishment, and if it works on you, it's deserved. Oh, and this isn't directly connected with the video, but something I thought about. I think pedophile as an insult or as a condemnation, also as a word people think you aren't allowed to say, I think it's being intentionally diluted the same way racist was. I think the powerful are enjoying running people in circles with this Epstein shit to fatigue everyone about or at the idea of being outraged at pedophiles. Because the more you think about that, you're expecting people to release incriminating evidence of themselves. I don't think they'd be doing this without a strategy, and I think the strategy is one to wear everybody down, because how many years can you keep up this level of enthusiasm expecting something to happen and then nothing happening no matter what comes out, and then also to distract from probably other things that are going on we would be better off knowing about but won't. And the way they keep portraying all this shit, portraying this dude, I was wondering how long it'll take, because this is theater. I was wondering how long it'll take until we get an Epstein redemption arc. You already see the these Jeffrey Epstein, pro Epstein, Jeffy Dripstein edits. This all feels like a joke, because you watch all these Epstein videos, and all the YouTubers, a lot of them are shouty. Many of them will play up how disgusted they are by things that should be disgusting, but you can feel on them there's not real disgust there. At least not the way there would have been however many years ago. And then you, the viewer, hear about this horrific shit, increasingly horrific shit, and the more you hear about it, the less you actually care, are affected by these components. You're still fixated on the carrot on the stick, this dream, this fantasy. These people will hand you the gun you can shoot them with. But I think we're already past the point. If people were actually going to do something, they would have done it. You'll be strung along, you'll be outraged, you'll say, we draw the line here, here and no further, and then every few months they'll step over that line and you'll continue to do nothing. Until you reach the point. I have a Patrice O'Neill, long time ago, said, God, this must have been in the early 2000s, only a couple years after 2001. Give it 20 years and there will be 9/11 Day. People will turn it into a cookout. And although that's an exaggeration, that's pretty much what's happened. You hear 9/11, you have the version of 9/11, you've internalized whatever theory you have behind it, and then you shrug and you don't care. I think we're seeing something similar with pedophiles and the powerful and the status quo. It might take years, but you will tucker yourself out and then you will accept the way things are. Even though that is what you've already done, it'll really sink in. Anyway, my elbow has been healing since last June, and I thought it had gotten to a point it was finally mostly good, but then I swap up my movements for this month, and I experiment with hammer curls, and I got the power blocks. I was doing 37.5s with the Alpha Grips 3.0s, the really thick grip implements. And 2 days of that shit, my arms hurt again. And I lost my mind. I was angry at my arm for not cooperating with me, so I tried to break it. I broke a bunch of shit, because how dare my arm not do what I tell it to do in the way I tell it to do it? And how dare inanimate objects exist around me while I'm frustrated? How dare these things get in my space? And I think my arm will be okay. Eventually. It's some bad tennis elbow, but it was close to better. It'll be better again at some point. I'm not stopping exercising this go round. What a waste of time that all was. I'm a believer in vitamins too. My mother, and I'll make a video about this, a review. My mother broke her arm a good number of years ago, and her healing was going slowly. She wasn't making much progress. Then her doctor recommended this series of multivitamins. Or not multivitamins, it was a specific series of vitamins. and she didn't believe in them, but she took them, and then after a couple months, her arm started improving drastically. So she's a believer in vitamins. I'm a believer of vitamins by extension, but the vitamins I was running sucked. I didn't feel any different. I bought animal packs, and I've been taking them, and I'm feeling a difference. My arm started feeling a lot better after I started taking them. So there's something going on there, and I'll make a review of animal packs once I run out of the 44 packets or whatever. And I feel a difference too is the thing. I don't feel the difference the way maybe I was expecting to feel a difference, but this one isn't placebo because I was taking a lot of vitamins before I got on the animal packs and I didn't feel shit. I'm sure they were making some difference, but I didn't feel anything. Animal packs, I can feel a difference now. Not in any super positive ways, but I can feel something's going on. And we'll make a video about that once we get through all of them. But I was really upset today. I was almost crying. I was so frustrated because you have a problem like this and you realize there is no good solution to this. Either, well, okay, we're not actually, what we're going to do is not one of the, quotes, good solutions or better solutions. We're going to brute force this and fuck up my arm even worse. I don't care at this point. My arm deserves to be punished for its lack of cooperation. But you sit there and you wonder, could this potentially be a forever thing? We're getting to the age shit doesn't heal the way it's supposed to. Could I just have that tweaky arm, the way some people have tweaky shoulders, for the rest of their lives? Do I want to stop lifting on that side and look all weird? I'm not going to stop lifting altogether, but it's kind of hard to lift things when one of your lifting implements is giving you shit. But you know you're going to fuck it up worse if you keep fucking with it, but which is what we're going to do because I hate my arm. I would cut this fucking thing off if I could. I would take them, if I had a quick save in real life. If I had a quick save in real life, I would do a lot of things. But what I would do right now is take a cleaver and teach my arm not to fuck with me anymore. I would probably scoop my left eye out also. That thing is busted. It's like a shrew eye. But a shrew eye and a mini crab pincer, the weaker side one, those are better than nothing, unfortunately. God, if I could astral project and put my body on an operating table, I would hurt myself so badly because my body does not cooperate with me. Anyway, the point is, there is nothing clear and immediate you can do to fix this, and it could potentially be a long-term problem. After you already tried to do what you thought was the right thing, which was take a break for a couple months. Well, actually more than a couple months, because I noticed it was worse than just a little nagging pain when I tried to get into lifting for a couple weeks in the middle of that. But you try to do all the right things. You take the vitamins, you do the stretching, you do this and that, and then it still fucks you over. And just out of nowhere, this was not a slow deterioration. It actually felt like things were getting better as I was lifting. But then 2 days of hammer curls, and your arm is fucked again. So I was thinking, and I was thinking about this before this. This was a couple days ago I was thinking about this, but it's been on the brain. What makes getting through possible? How emotionally do you deal with something like a fucked up arm? How do you deal emotionally with living in a world like this, in a time like this, among people like this? I hate people. It's nothing abstract. It's nothing that's supposed to be life-affirming or meaningful. Meaningful is the devil, I'm finding. Meaningful is Satan. Meaningful is a trickster. Meaning is the hunt for meaning is an idea that tricks you into poisoning the few things you can enjoy and should be enjoying, because if not these things, what else is there for you? Because you do what these meaning people tell you to do, and you're even more miserable than you were before, both because the shit they tell you to do doesn't work, but also because you're realizing, or you get this fear in you, oh my god, maybe nothing works. Maybe nothing will ever work. Made all the worse by all of these retards around you who are, in their way, realizing that it's not working, and they respond not by being honest, by being real. They respond by doubling down and trying to convince themselves it works by convincing other people it works. But it doesn't, because your stupid ass tried it. And how many times in your life do you need to try what other people assure you is the answer, only to realize this shit doesn't do anything? And this sort of thing, this category of things, never does anything. So what are the good things? Well, I was watching Wall-E clips, and I realized those fat bastards... People in the comments commenting about how the Wall-E existence is even more true today than it was then, and that is the case, but as if that's a bad thing, in the absence of anything else that could make you feel anything else, because I have a feeling a lot of that shit, a lot of the stuff that meant something and could make you feel really good, died with modernism, as Hemingway believed. And I agree, because you try to go back and recreate the things that used to make people feel as good as the Wall-E people feel or felt, and maybe you can still do the things that made you feel that good, or would have made people back in the day feel that good, but it doesn't work because this isn't that world anymore. The game's changed. God, and it was so weird. Everybody sitting there on their little soapbox moralizing about how awful that life is and how that's exactly the way we live, not realizing, at least from my perspective, that sounds like a nice existence. That's the peak of what we, our generation, and our era, realistically can hope for, until there is some huge catastrophic event, or great event, that pushes us forward into the next thing, or resets us. Because you take an inventory of the things that you actually like about life, and it is nothing complicated, it is nothing meaningful, it is all simple, indulgent shit. I like the way food tastes, and I like eating a lot of it. Food, even the slop shit, even the worst eating experiences, are things I look forward to in life. Okay, I've tried every chip dip my local convenience store sells. And every single time, I'll buy a bag of chips, I'll buy a new salsa or cheese or French onion dip, whatever it is, and I'll eat it, and I'll feel so gross. And the flavor will be for what you're paying financially, what you're also paying in terms of your health and the death you are building yourself up to. The flavor is not even that worth it. And then you shit all over the place. And it's such a bad idea every single time. It is so not worth it every single time. But I keep doing it because I like it. On some ape-affirming level. I love smoking. I smoke my pipe 2 to 6 times a day. And my pipe irritates me. It is I have no idea. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather, smoked a pipe his entire life. But you have all these American classic tattoo people. There's a word I'm thinking of for them. It rhymes with a stone, agates, just gigantic agates. That's a word we'll play careful around, at least for now. Who talk about pipe smoking as if it's this super relaxing thing, and it's like meditation and all this. No. No, it's not like that. And the fact that you're trying to sell it. Have you noticed that the way people. It feels like they are marketing their lifestyle to you all the time, trying to convince you to buy whatever it is they're doing. And it's never it's they're trying to sell themselves on the image too. Pipe smoking is not this super relaxing meditative thing. What pipe smoking is a cost-efficient way to get nicotine into your system, to get a nice little throat hit, while also not having to deal with the prices. Well, we already said the pricing. Less expensive than cigarettes. You're also, if you're not producing as much waste, and pipe tobacco tubs are good for storing shit. Pipe smoking is super irritating. And if I were a billionaire, I would probably rotate between cigarettes and cigarillos. That's what I would be smoking. Pipe smoking sometimes because there is something to it, which is what we're getting to. I smoke it anyway, or I choose this method of smoking anyway, because it does feel really good. Vaping, boy, I love vaping. I don't vape anymore because that shit, even though that is pretty cost efficient, all things considered, you get to a point you're vaping constantly and then you can't have any time without it. My pipe, I can go an entire day without smoking it before I start feeling like I need to be smoking it. And I smoke only in the evenings, so I can work an entire day without any nicotine freakouts the way I would when I was vaping. But smoking feels really nice. Despite all the frustrations, and depending on the way my life turns out, I can see myself stopping smoking. My father smoked for a number of years and managed to stop. People stop smoking all the time. There's a way to do it. I could see myself doing that. Or I could also see myself doing what my maternal grandfather did and smoke daily and constantly into your 80s. I don't have the best genes in the world, but I do have smoker maxing genes. And pipe smoking is so nice. One of the problems with cigarettes, I think it's the paper, or I don't know what it is, but cigarette smoke, I like the way it smells, but a lot of people don't. That shit sticks to you. And immediately. You take a couple puffs on a cigarette, and then you smell like cigarettes for the rest of the day. Pipe smoking, one, most people don't complain about it. A lot of people like the way it smells. It's like a homier cigar kind of thing going on, but cigars, bleh. But while the smoke is heavier in your throat, it's lighter in the air. It doesn't stick to you. Oh, that was one of the other reasons I stopped smoking cigarettes, is cigarettes will give you the smoker cough. Pipes don't give you the smoker cough. That you aren't hacking up a lung and shit. Once again, I don't know if that's the paper or the chemicals, but you get all, and that's another thing with vaping. Vaping started getting me coughing. I'm not a cougher with my pipe, and I don't know why that is, but it's one of the reasons it's my preferred method of smoking. But I love smoking. I hate all the shit. There's so many different ways it could be better, but I still love it. I enjoy it. I look forward every day to smoking. I'm looking forward to smoking right now. And I reiterate, these are not reasons to live. Your reason to live, aside from the divine service thing, which I think is an important reason, but it doesn't feel that way, so you may as well not count it, is you don't have the guts to die yet. These things we're talking about are things that get you through. These are not things that deliver you from a bad situation because nothing will. These are the things that make a bad situation a little bit better. And truly make things a little bit better. No lies, no marketing, no selling to other people. Another one is gaming is fun. Gaming is interesting because when you're into a really good game, well, you have the time passing games and you have the narrative games. When you're in a good time passing game, you eliminate your time in a way that you feel good about. And usually in a way you would feel better about than by doing almost anything else. Aside from maybe the things on this list, you are taking time that could be spent in misery, and probably would be spent in misery if you allowed it to get there, and replacing it with time that feels kind of okay. Maybe even pretty good in a few spots. And then what good narrative games do is they. I don't know why this is, but good narrative games, it feels like they pull your life back together for a little bit and give you focus, make you feel like you have that reason again, like you have a narrative. And then when they end, you feel bad because you didn't have that narrative, but you did for a time. And despite that pit upon finishing a good narrative game, that feeling carries on for a little while. So I like gaming. Jerking off is another good one. For me, it is between 1 and 4 days, hovering usually around once every other day. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Sometimes you get hit with lust, other times you forget. But for me, it's always a little occasion. And there is some of that gambling rush in there. Because you don't know, between your body and your emotions and what content you'll be consuming, you don't know if this is going to be a utilitarian nut or an okay nut that actually felt pretty good, or if it's going to be a great nut. You don't know. That's part of the fun for me. In addition to all the things you'll be thinking about during your nutting. It's always a time for reflection. It's like you're drawing cards on what you'll be thinking about for the next day or two. An aspect of life, and it'll occupy you. Sleeping is always really good. Even if you're pissing in the middle of the night all the time, sleeping is great. Comfortable blankets and pillows and sleeping in the cold is all great. In the same vein, wearing comfy clothes feels really nice. I love when I know I'll be wearing, the next day, when I'll be wearing clothes that feel good to wear. I like kratom too. Similar to the pipe smoking, that's the moment I get off work and get a moment, I'll sit down with a glass of kratom and relax a little bit. I also love zoning out and watching YouTube. People act like this constant social media content stream is bad for you. It probably is, but it's also one of the only things that feels good. And on what platform are you complaining about it? You're complaining about the thing you engage yourself with. If all I'm doing is sitting there watching YouTube videos, after an hour I'll start feeling bad, but if I have them in the background while I'm doing other stuff, I love YouTube. I love all kinds of content. And within all this, go figure, the only things that make your situation tenable are the things people demand you hate. It's clown shit. As a species, we've gotten ourselves all strung up in this societal configuration. I think you're better off enjoying what you can insofar as you can enjoy it, which isn't all that much, but it's better than nothing, and it's better than torturing yourself and letting people lead you around through broken glass with a carrot on a stick that's not even there. The same way Gen X exists in this retarded movie brain thing in which everything has to be a movie, Millennials and Gen Z exist in this retarded meaning brain thing in which everything has to be meaningful. We don't live in an era of meaning. And I wonder how much meaning the way these people jerk themselves off over it has ever existed. I say you do what makes you happy, what produces results for you, because God knows there won't be many of those things, and everyone will always be trying to sell you away from what works for you and toward what benefits them or what comforts them in their believing, and ideally in your believing, and as many people as possible's believing. And that includes thinking about the things you want to think about, investigating whatever it is you want to investigate, and you do your divine job if there is one, and that's not a delusion. And if it's not a delusion, then you're already programmed with what you need to be doing. You do your part. You be a cog in whatever small ways you know you're supposed to be a cog. And then you get through, and then that's it. You get through as comfortably as you can until you lose your option to keep going. You do the best with what you have, because you do, contrary to what people will tell you, you do have some things. They aren't the greatest things, but they aren't nothing either. And I'm sure there will be further developments at some point. We'll change our mind, or we'll have some kind of new perspective, but for right now, getting through as comfortably and as realistically as possible seems like one of the only real priorities to me. And it's also something you can do. This is something you can achieve. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.